This is Mrs. Ridgway, and I will be covering Excel Chapter 3, Performing Calculations with Formulas and Functions. Turn with me to page 2 in Chapter 3. Functions are organized by category in the Function Library group. When you select a function, the Function Arguments dialog box opens. The Insert Function button opens the Insert Function dialog box from which you can select a function. The Average function returns the average of values in the range. The Median function returns the middle value in the range. The Mode Single function returns the single value that is repeated most often in the range. The Max function returns the highest or maximum value in a range of numbers. The Min function returns the lowest or minimum value in the range of numbers. Autofill extends patterns of data. On page 3, the roundup function rounds a value to the next highest digit. Autofill is used to enter formulas or data patterns into a selected range based on the content of the starting cells in the range. Click Autofill Options button to open a set of options for the autofill selection. You can drag the fill handle over a column or row of cells to autofill those cells. We have experienced with autofill. We did this beginning in Chapter 1. Okay, I have navigated to Chapter 3, opened the 3-1 file, and I called the workbook EX3_calls with my last name. In the documentation sheet, enter your name in B3 and the date in cell B4. Go to the Call Center Log worksheet at the bottom. Page 5. A workbook with many calculations can be challenging for the author to write and for others to use. To help everyone, it is important to list the formulas used in the workbook and to explain the assumptions behind those formulas. The workbook documentation should also include the definitions of key terms to make it clear what is being calculated and why. You will review this worksheet. Go to the Formulas and Key Terms worksheet. Review the worksheet contents, paying attention to the equations and key terms that you will be using in this workbook. Go to the Call Center Log sheet. One skill you need when working with Excel is the ability to translate an equation into an Excel formula. Some equations use constants, which are terms in an equation whose values don't change. For example, the following equation converts a duration value measured in days to a duration value measured in seconds by multiplying the day value by 3 constants, 24, 60, and 60, because there are 24 hours in a day. 60 minutes in an hour, and 60 seconds in each minute. Okay, I'm on page 5. It is good practice in worksheets to include the units in any calculation. Page 6. You will use constants to calculate each customer's hold time during their calls to center. Calculating with dates and times. Excel stores dates and times as the number of days since January 0, 1900. Full days are a whole number, and partial days are a fraction, such as 0.5 for half a day or 12 hours. Storing dates and times as numbers makes it easier to calculate time and date intervals. We're going to calculate the first customer's hold time and call duration. In cell H5, enter the formula equal G5 minus F5 to calculate the hold time of the first cell, which is equal to the difference between the time when the call was placed and when the call was answered. The time value enters into H5. In cell J5, enter the formula equal I5 minus G5 to calculate the length of time of the first conversation, which is equal to the difference between the time the call was answered and the time the conversation concluded. Kiera wants these time differences formatted as seconds and minutes. So on page 7, we're going to convert the first customer's hold time and call duration to seconds and minutes. Select the non-adjacent range H5 and J5. I'm going to hold down the Control key and click on J5. These cells contain the calculated hold time and the duration for the first customer. On the Home tab in the Numbers group, click the Format arrow and then click General. The date/time format is removed and the underlying numerical values appear. Click cell H5. Change the formula to equal parenthesis G5 minus F5, close the parenthesis, times 24 times 60 times 60. This multiplies the hold time by the number of seconds in one day, and then we're going to press Tab. Okay, the value 5 appears in the cell. All right, I didn't press Tab, but I'm going to click over here in J5. We're going to change the formula to include 24 hours in a day and 60 minutes in an hour. So type equal parenthesis I5 minus G5, close the parenthesis, times 24 times 60. That multiplies the call duration by the number of minutes in one day. And now I'm going to press Tab. Now that you have calculated the hold time and call duration for the first customer, You will apply these formulas to the remaining entries in the call log. One way to efficiently enter long columns or rows of formulas and data values is with the autofill, which we've been using the autofill handle. To extend a formula into range with autofill, you select the cell that contains the formula to be extended. I'm going to click on the 5, and this is the formula that I am wanting to copy. When the cell is selected, the fill handle appears as a black square in the lower right corner of the cell. Dragging this fill handle down or across extends the formula, and the cell formats into a new range. We're going to use the autofill to extend the formula in cell H5. Click cell H5 to select it. The fill handle, the small black square, appears in the lower right corner. Drag the fill handle over the range H5 through H515. Well, what I did was I double-clicked on the fill handle and it automatically filled the entire column rather than dragging down. That takes more time. By default, autofill extends both the formulas and the formatting of the initial cell or cells. However, you might want to extend only the formulas or only the formatting. The autofill options button that appears after you release the mouse button lets you specify what part of the initial cells should be extended. Okay, I'm pointing to it on my screen. This is your autofill options. If you look at page 9, this shows you the autofill options menu. We can click the down arrow to get this menu, and it shows copy cells. This copies the cells into the extended range. Or fill formatting only. This fills only the formatting into the extended range. The fill without formatting fills only the data into the extended range. And then the flash fill applies flash fill to the extended range. Kiera used banded rows to make the call log easier to read. By extending cell H5 into the range H5 through H515, you copied cell H5's format as well as its formula, removing the banded row effect for the entries in column H. We're going to use the autofill option button to restore the banded row effect to the table. Click the autofill options button and click Fill Without Formatting. Fill without formatting. The original formatting of the range is restored without affecting your copied formulas. Click in J5 to select it and drag the fill handle down from J5 through J515. I'm going to place my mouse on the fill handle, double click to see if it will fill for me automatically. And it does. Step 5, we're going to click the autofill options. As you can see, it took away the banded row. So we're going to fill without formatting. Fill without formatting. Scroll up to the worksheet and click cell D3. D3 to deselect the range. Turn with me to page 10. Filling a series. Autofill can extend any data pattern involving dates, times, numbers, and text. Look at the bottom of page 10. These are some of the most common series patterns extended with autofill. If you type in the number 123 and then use your autofill, it will fill in 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and so forth. If you type in the pattern 2, 4, 6, then Excel will recognize the pattern and it will extend 8, 10, 12, 14, and so forth as you use your autofill. Now, you can also use dates and times. If you type in Jan and you use the autofill handle and you drag it, it will know to insert Feb, March, April. You can type in Monday and then you can drag the fill handle and it will know what the pattern is, and it will enter Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and so forth. Same goes with times. And the same goes with pattern text. If you type first period and then drag the fill handle, you'll get second period, third period, fourth period, and so forth. If you type quarter 3 and then drag the fill handle, you'll get quarter 4, and so forth. Page 11, autofill can extend patterns either horizontally across the columns within a single row or vertically across rows within a single column. We're going to extend the case number series in the call log. In cell E5, enter the text case 50127 as the first case number for the day. Click cell E5 again. I'm going to press enter and then click on E5 again to select the cell, and then I'm going to drag the fill handle down all the way to E515. I'm going to double click to see if it does it for me. It does it for me automatically. Click the autofill options button because, as you can see, now the banded rows have disappeared. So we're going to click the down arrow for the autofill options and choose fill without formatting. And the banded rows will return. Another way of defining a series is with the series dialog box, which is shown in figure 3-8. On the next page. To access the series dialog box, you would select the range in which you want to place a series of values, and then you would click the Fill button in the editing group on the Home tab, and then select the series, as you see in figure 3-8.
Here are some TV shows.
Okay, applying Excel functions. Excel supports several hundred functions covering a wide range of topics. There are somewhere over 400 functions that you can use with Excel, including finance, statistics, and engineering. Look at the function library categories in figure 3-9. You have a listing of the category. You have the description of the different categories. I'm going to click on formulas at the top. Let me deselect since we've already copied down column E. I'm going to click on formulas so that you can see the different books. These are the different categories that are available. And if you were to click any of these books, you would get for example, here's financial. You would get a listing of all the functions that are in the financial function category. You can access the function library from the function library group, which I'm showing you here in the formulas ribbon. Or you can also access the function library by clicking the insert. I'm going to deselect here. You can click this FX. This is the insert function dialog box. When you click on this dialog box or the function, insert function, you'll get this little dialog box, and then you can choose which category, like this is showing financial, or let's do statistical, and it has all the statistical functions listed in here. So that's just another way that you can bring up functions. I'm going to cancel. On page 13, rounding data values. Excel supports 3 rounding functions: round, round down, and round up. The round function rounds a value to the nearest digit. The round down function rounds the value to the nearest lowest digit, and the round up function rounds the value to the next highest digit. If you look at page 13, you see examples of the function where number is the number to be rounded and num digits is the digits to round the number to. For instance, 0 will round the number to the nearest integer. If you put a 1 for the num digit, it will round the number to the nearest tenth. If you place a 2, it rounds the number to the nearest hundredth, and so forth. For example, these are excellent examples on page 13. If you put a 2, let's say the number is 132.438, and you want to round, you put a 2, it's going to round 2 digits. So it would be 132.44. It just rounds to 2 digits. If you put a 1, it's going to round to only 1 digit, so it would be 132.4. A negative num digit will value rounds the number to a power of 10. So if you place the -1, it will round to 10th, to the nearest power of 10. If you put a -2, it's going to round to 100. -3, thousands. So that's how that works. On page 14, we're going to use the insert function dialog box with the roundup function. So click in cell J5, and then we're going to press delete to remove the formula that's stored in this cell. On the ribbon, click the Formulas tab, all right, and this brings up the function library. In the function library, click the Insert function. It's on the far left. Insert function. This dialog box opens, and in the Search for a Function box, we're going to type round a value. Round value. And this describes the function that you want to find. And then we're going to click Go. And then we'll see a listing. Here's round, round up, round down. All the functions that deal with rounding appear. Number 5, in the Select a Function box, we're going to choose to round up. So click on Round Up from the search results and then click OK. In the Number box, we're going to type the formula equal parenthesis I5 minus G5, close the parenthesis, times 24 times 60. This will calculate the duration of the first call in minutes. Oh, let's see what I've done here. Okay, so I must have done something. So I'm going to close this and start again. Oh, I'm going to look at it. I've got this round. Oh, I should not have typed in an equal. So I'm going to take out the equal. And I'm going to press enter. You entered too few arguments for this function. Okay, so you equal round up, I5 minus G5 times, okay, it's suggesting that I put these parentheses here, so I'm going to click OK. And then I'm going to press enter and see what happens. Oh, okay, so let's start again. That's just what you've got to do is, let me click here. I'm going to press delete. And then I'm going to, in the number box, I'm going to try it again. Parenthesis, looks like I5 minus G5, close the parenthesis, times 24 times 60, and then press enter. It's supposed to calculate the duration of the first call in minutes. All right, so let's see here. Okay, maybe I needed to choose roundup again. So I'm just going to completely undo, and I'm going to choose the insert function. I'm going to choose round a value. Go. And I'm then going to choose the round up. And OK. Okay, so I see it up here in the formula bar. We have the equal roundup. So all we need to do now is type parenthesis I5 minus G5, close the parenthesis, times 24 times 60. To calculate the duration of the first call in minutes. All right, so now you'll see inside the box that it shows 20.6166667. Now tab and type 0 in the num digits box to round up the calculated value to the next highest integer. And then click OK. And the highest integer is 21. Okay, now from here, number 9, we're going to drag the fill handle down over the range J5 through J515. So what I'm going to do is double click to copy that down. And then I've got to, it removed my banded rows, so now I need to click on the autofill options, choose to fill without formatting to bring back the banded rows. Scroll up the worksheet and click on J5. So I'm going to click on J5 to deselect the range. The round down, and round up function all round values to the nearest power of 10, such as 1 over 100, or 1/10, or 1, or 10, or 100, and so forth. To round values to powers other than 10, use the following mRound function. mRound function, where the number is the number to be rounded and multiple is the multiple of value to be rounded to. For example, if we had 5,241 and we want to round to the nearest multiple of 25, then we would put mRound and put in parentheses 5,241, comma 25. To always round a value down to the next lowest integer, you would use an int function. And so they give you an example in the book. All right, so let's turn to page 16. Page 16, calculating minimums and maximums. The min and the max functions return the smallest and the largest values from a specified set of numbers. We're going to use the min and the max functions to return the time of the first and the last sales. So click cell B5 to select it. B5. On the Formulas tab in the Function Library, we're going to choose More Functions and then point to the Statistical to display a list of the statistical functions. Scroll down the list until you find min for minimum. And then click on it. In the number 1 box, we're going to type F through F. F through F. Okay, so we're telling it to go and look at all of the information in column F and to find the smallest value from all of the time values that are in that column. You won't enter anything in the number 2 box because you want to search only this range of cells. So click OK. And the return is 0.333333, which is the numeric value of the minimum time value in column F. Number 6 on the ribbon, click the Home tab. In the number group, click Number Format arrow, and then click Time. The value displayed in cell B5 changes to 8 a.m., the time of the very first call. Number 7, click cell B6. And then we're going to repeat steps 2 through 6, clicking the max function in step 3. All right, so we're going to go to Formulas. We're going to choose More Functions and the Stats, and we're going to go down and choose Max, finding the highest number, Max function, and then we're going to type in F:(F). We want to search in this column. We will not need to enter anything in number 2 and just click OK. Okay, and then we're going to, let's see here, max function in step 3 to return the time of the last call of the day. Cell B6 displays, okay, so now we need to change it to time. So we're going to go to Home, and we're going to click the arrow, number arrow, and we need to change it to time. And so now the time will be 5:59 and 49 seconds in the PM evening, indicating that the last call was placed just before the call center closed. Now on page 17, we're going to calculate the total call center hours, calls and calls per hour. So in cell B7, enter the formula equal parenthesis B6 minus B5, close the parenthesis and multiply times 24. And this calculates the difference between the last call and the first call. Click cell B7 to select it. And then on the Home tab, go to the number group and change the number, and then click number. Okay, so we clicked number. A time interval of 10 hours is displayed in the cell. Okay, now click cell B8. Enter the formula, equal count F through F. Close the parenthesis. So you want to count all of the cells in column F containing numeric values. And it now displays 511 calls were placed during the day. In cell B9, enter the formula. It is equal to B8 divided by B7, and this calculates the number of calls per hour. Click cell B9 to select it, and then in the numbers group, click the number format arrow and choose number to display the value to 2 decimal places. Cell B9 displays 51.12, indicating that the call center received more than 51 calls every hour. Kiara now has a better picture of the level of traffic at the call center. Next, we're going to calculate how long a typical caller waits before reaching an operator. Turn to page 18. Central tendency is a single measurement from a data series that returns the most typical or central data value. There are several measures of central tendency. This module focuses on the 3 most commonly used measures: average, median, and mode. The average, also known as mean, is equal to the sum of the data values divided by the number of values in the data series. The median is the central value of the data series, so that half of the values are less than the median and half are greater. And then finally, the mode is the value repeated most often in the data series. A data series can have several modes if different values are repeated the same number of times. And these 3 measures are calculated using the following functions. You can use average, you can use median, you can use mode dot single, mode dot mult, or mode, where number 1 and number 2 and so on are the values from that data series. The average, while most commonly used measure, it's the most commonly used measure of central tendency. It can be adversely affected by extreme values. Consider an exam in which every student receives a 90 except one student who receives a 0. That single 0 value will cause the class average to drop, making it appear that students did worse on the exam than all but one actually. However, all but one actually did. Okay, so on page 19, Kiara wants to know the typical hold time that customers will experience at the call center based on the average, the median, and the mode measures of the hold time data. So we're going to calculate the average, median, and mode hold times. Click cell B12 and then click the Formulas tab. In the function library, we're going to click More Functions and choose Statistical, and then find Average function. And in the number 1 box, type H:H. So we're searching in column H as the range reference, and then we're going to click OK. We're finding the average of H. The cell displays 27.477495, indicating that the average time spent on hold was about 27.5 seconds. Now we're going to click cell B13, And we're going to repeat steps 2 through 4, selecting median as the statistical function. All right, so we're going to go up here to more functions. We're going to choose stats, and then we're going to choose median. Okay, the cell displays 20. Oh, well, we got to find, okay, so it's in H. So we're going to type H through H. And then click OK, and it should display 26, and it does. Now click cell B14, and we're going to repeat the step except for using mode single. So we're going to go up here to more functions, stat, mode. We're going to locate mode, single, and we're searching in column H, and then choose OK. The cell displays the mode value of 28. Click in B15, enter the formula equal min. We're going to find the minimum in column H through H. We want to search the entire column. And then we're going to click, press enter, and it calculates the minimum hold time value that it found in column H. The shortest hold time was 1 second. Number 8, in cell B16, we're going to enter the formula equal max, parenthesis, H through H, close the parenthesis. We're going to calculate the maximum hold time that we find in column H. The longest hold time was 163 seconds. Okay, now turn to page 20. The average, median, and mode values all indicate that the typical caller waits on hold for about 26 to 28 seconds. Kiara wants you to do a similar analysis for the length of each customer conversation with an operator. So we're going to calculate the typical length of the support conversations. Number 1, in cell B19, enter the formula equal average, and then choose column J, and press enter. You should get 16.154599 minutes. And then in cell B20, we're going to enter equal median, of the same column, J, and press enter. And then in B21, we're going to enter the function equal mode single. Ooh, I cannot see it under here, so I'm going to type mode dot SNGL, and then parenthesis, we want column J, and close the parenthesis and press enter. 6 minutes. The most common conversation lasted 6 minutes. Now we're in B22. We're going to enter the formula equal min, column J. We're going to find the smallest number in column J. And the shortest conversation only lasted 1 minute. Now we're in B23, and we're going to type equal max, parenthesis, and it's all the numbers in J, close the parenthesis, and this calculates the largest value. The longest conversation was 23 minutes long. No, 73, excuse me, 73 minutes long. The three measures of central tendency for the length of the conversations shows distinctly different values. The average conversation with the operator lasts a little over 16 minutes, but the most common length, as indicated by the mode, is 6 minutes, with a median of 13 minutes. It would seem that many calls could be dealt with in a short time, although some longer calls up to 73 minutes require more operator time, bringing up the average. This information tells Kiera that the call center might handle calls more efficiently by sending more difficult, time-consuming calls to the most experienced operators and having all other calls handled by the rest of the operators. Okay, now we're going on page 21, nesting functions. Functions can be placed inside or they can be nested within other functions. When functions are nested, Excel evaluates the innermost function first, and then it moves outward to evaluate the remaining functions, with the inner function acting as an argument for the next outer function. For example, the following expression that it shows on page 21, the following expression nests the average function within the round function. In this expression, the average of the values in the range A1 through A100 is calculated first, and then that average is rounded to the nearest integer. Knowing how long operators are actively engaged with customers, it is important to determining the call center staffing needs. So Kiera wants the total support time rounded to the fullest hour. Okay, on page 22, we're going to calculate and round the total operator time and the operator time per hour. Click in cell B24. Now we're going to type equal round, double click on the round, and we're going to find the round to begin the formula. As you type the formula, okay, and then we want to type sum. So we're going to type sum, and double click on sum, and we're going to locate the sum of the numbers in J. And then we've got to, let's see here, close with the closing parenthesis to include the sum function as part of the number argument in the round function. All right, now, number 4, we're going to type divided by 60 to convert the sum of the values in column J from minutes to hours. The number argument of the round function is complete. So we're going to type comma and 0 and close the parenthesis. So you always count your parentheses. It must be an even number of parentheses. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. That is an even number. So we've entered the number of decimal places to include in our results, the formula with the nested function, equal round, and then sum of column J, and then divided by 60 as complete. Notice that the color for the parentheses of the sum function differs from the color of the parentheses for the round function. Now we're going to press enter. Cell B24 displays 138, indicating that the call center operators spend around 138 hours on the phone with customers during the day. In cell B25, we're going to type the formula equal round, parenthesis, B24 divided by B7, comma, 1, and close the parenthesis. This is going to divide the total operator time that is in B24 by the total number of hours the call center was open in cell B7. And then it's going to round the total to the nearest tenth of an hour, and then we're going to press enter. Okay, so we're going to press enter. Wait, I've got to put my last parenthesis, 1, 2, 3, so I need to close the parenthesis and then press enter. Oh, well, maybe this is wrong. So let me look. Equal, round, okay, parentheses. So I've got too many parentheses. So I'm going to close out of here. I'm going to go up to the formula bar. I'm going to take out the extra parenthesis that I put in. And so now we should have one. Oh, here's an extra. I need to take out this extra parenthesis. It's always got to be even. So 1, 2. Let's see if this works. It does. Okay. Now cell B25 displays 13.8, which is the workload per hour rounded to tenths. On page 23, the value in cell B25 shows that each hour the call center is open requires 13.8 hours of operator time. In other words, the call center needs about 14 operators every hour to keep up with the traffic. Fewer than 14 operators will result in a backlog that will only get worse as the day progresses. Okay, the functions you've entered were applied to whole columns of data, even though those columns contained empty cells and cells with text strings. Mathematical and statistical functions like sum, count, average, and median include only numeric data in their calculations, ignoring empty cells and text entries. A blank cell is considered a text entry and is not treated as the number 0. Look at figure 317. It shows how the results differ when a blank replaces a 0 in a data series. Okay, at the bottom of page 23, date and time functions. Excel supports a large collection of date and time functions. Look at figure 318. It summarizes some of the most useful ones on page 24. It is important that you know the last two functions, the now function, which returns the current date and time, and the today function, which returns the current date. Many workbooks include the current date. To display the current date, you can use the following today function that you see in the book. So you would type equal today and then enter an open and a closed parenthesis with nothing in the parenthesis. The date displayed by the today function is updated automatically whenever you enter a new formula or whenever you get out and then you reopen your workbook, it will have the current date. We're going to display the current date. So go to the documentation sheet at the bottom and click in B4. B4, enter the formula equal today close that parenthesis. So you have an open and a closed parenthesis, and then we're going to press enter. It shows the current date in the cell. The date displayed will update every time you reopen the workbook. So tomorrow when you open the workbook, it's going to show the 29th. To display the current date and the current time, you would use now function. The now function, like the today function, is automatically updated whenever you add a new calculation or when you reopen the workbook. Take some time to study the date calculations with working dates on page 25. The bottom of page 25, this is about, we're going to cover interpreting error values. It's easy to mistake a formula or to mistype one. It's easy to mistype a formula. So when you make a mistake writing a formula, Excel returns an error value indicating that some part of your formula was entered incorrectly. Look at the figure on page 26, figure 3-19. These are your most common error values. We've already experienced the DIVO, as I call it, but it's the pound div with a forward slash for division 0 and an exclamation mark. This means that the formula or function contains a number which is divided by 0. The pound name question mark, Excel doesn't recognize text in the formula or function, such as when the function that you've typed is misspelled, it doesn't recognize your misspelled function name. The pound n/a, this means that a value is not available to a function or a formula to use, which can occur when a workbook is initially set up prior to entering any actual data value. And then there's others that you need to study. So look at these error values and look at the descriptions and become familiar with each of these common error values. Error values by themselves might not be particularly descriptive or helpful. To help you locate the error, an error indicator appears in the upper left corner of the cell with the error value. When you point to the error indicator, a little screen tip appears with more information about that error. Although the screen tips provide hints as to the reason for the error, you will usually need to examine the formulas in the cells with error values to determine exactly what went wrong. Okay, now, Kiera wants us to create an error value. So we're going to go to the call center log sheet in your workbook, call center log sheet. Click cell B7 and then press delete. That removes the formula from the cell. Okay, so with cell B7 being blank, we're going to verify that both cell B9 and B25 show the error value. Okay, so look at B9, look at B25, and it's showing the pound div /0 exclamation mark, indicating that the formulas in those cells contain expressions in which a value is divided by 0. Because you have nothing here, it's 0. Nothing is in B7. Now click in B9. Click in B9. And then you'll see this little exclamation mark. You're going to point to the error button that appears to the left of the cell and a screen tip appears. And it tells you the formula or function used is dividing by 0 or empty cells. So it provided the information about the cause of your error value. In this case, the screen tip, the formula or function used is dividing by 0 or empty cells. That appears on your screen. On the quick access toolbar, let's click undo to restore the original formula in B7. And so now it is restored. The cell again displays 10 hours as the formula result. Verify that no error values appear in your worksheet and then save. You've completed your initial work in using Excel formulas and functions to analyze the call center data that Kiera compiled. This concludes session 1 of the Excel Chapter 3 module, Performing Calculations with Formulas and Functions.